And so, my dear ones, again, welcome into the sanctuary. And I might just mention to you that our phone system is down today and that we cannot call out and no one can call in as far as phones are concerned. All our cells, of course, are working and so on. But it will be up and running again tomorrow, and I was asked to remind us all of that. So, dear ones, here we are, and we're still focused on this amazing, I love in this month of all months, we are focused on our integration of all of life in itself and of itself. We're focused on the essential, unified essence of our being. That's what we're focused on right now. And let me tell you, it's not what's mirrored to us as we look out into the world, but you know, you and I have to see beyond that if we truly are taking our spiritual unfoldment to heart. Because in essence, you and I are indeed this infinite, amazing grace, life, energy, whatever you want to call that cannot truly be defined. That's what we are. Now, we're that in essence, but in our tendencies, we tend to be more identified with the humanity of ourselves. And that tendency is always toward the ego, the egoic way of seeing and perceiving and so on. And so the mystical marriage has to do with combining the two, bringing the two together, integrating the two aspects of our being so that we can be what is called the spiritual being, the realized being, the awakened being, whatever that is, because we're all in the process of knowing what that is. I mean, I love Anthony de Mello, as you know, and his book on awareness is just, when you're reading it, you're slapped up and down the yin-yang. He boxes you across the ears all the time with what he has to share. That is so very basic and fundamental. And he says, you know, when people ask, well, are you enlightened? The response to that is, I couldn't possibly answer that question. And I don't know anybody who could. But not to be worried about being enlightened at all. But just be in your moment and do the best that you can do. And understand in this world, when you and I are working toward understanding each other and working together with each other and making it all work for the best for everybody, none of us really know the full answer to that, and we're all doing the best that we can do, and that's all we can do. He said for himself, and I mentioned that last week, that life settled down and eased up for him when he realized, you know, I'm an ass and you're an ass, and one of these days I'm going to write a book called I'm an ass, you're an ass, instead of the I'm okay and you're okay thing. You know, well, in addition to, rather. And he's not being derogatory in that. He's just saying, look, I'm a fool, you're a fool. We're all fools. We all don't know. We're doing the best that we can, and in the process, we're fooling ourselves a whole lot by thinking that we can be judge and jury, by thinking that we can absolutely speak for anything and anyone else when we ourselves, you know, don't absolutely know who we are. And we must absolutely know who we are before we can even dare to judge anything. And he goes on to say what we say. You know, we say that our goal and our mission is to awaken humanity into its spiritual magnificence by creating a world that works for everybody. And he would counter that and say, well, have you awakened yourself? And does your world work for you, the one that you have created for you? Because if you can't say yes to those questions, you must work there on yourself to awaken yourself and to create for yourself a world that works for you, meaning that you can create a healthy, happy, you know, safe, integrated life for yourself first, and then maybe you have just some chance of helping somebody else to do that, not by telling them how to do it, but by simply questioning. He goes on to tell us that most of us, when we're thinking about being one and centered and so on, that most of us are really unconsciously snoring ourselves asleep. He says, life is a banquet, and yet most of us are starving to death. And he says the reason why that is the case is because we're all asleep, we're unconscious, we're hypnotized. He said we're hypnotized. And he talks about, you know, how much of what you truly believe and what I truly believe is truly important. That we have taken on ourselves things that are not ours. They were not our first beliefs. They're not ours. They're called introjections in Psych 101, introjections. So when we introject something, we're taking on board something that we're coming into agreement that we're taking from the outside, importing, that wasn't originally ours. And we're just steeping ourselves in that to the point that you and I will be willing to die standing up for that belief. And so what all of us are endeavoring to do, in effect, is to wake up, He said, you know, if you see any of these entertainment hypnotherapists on stage, and they get people to do what they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know anything other than just being in that crazy moment at the time, they can't see what is real. They're just doing what is not real. And he said, we're all like that for the most part. We're asleep trying to figure everything out as we're dreaming all these illusionary dreams. And so if you and I ever want to feel anyway integrated and united within ourselves, we have to know who we are and what we are. And he says, and isn't it great? We're all endeavoring to discover and understand, you know, black holes and quasars and you know, getting on the inside of discovering all that there is to be discovered in the virtual world and computer science and all of that. But how many of us have ever stopped to think that the most important thing of all in your life and mine is to study yourself, to find out who and what you are? So leave the black holes alone until you get that much under your belt, he would say. And isn't it true? Isn't it true? So he says that makes a farce of any judgments that you and I might come to with regard to the outer world, because ours was never the case to judge. Ours was always the case to observe and to witness. And he said the way we learn to wake up is to start observing ourselves and observing others. And he said, and observing everything. And he said, you know, not only do we take the stance of the witness and the observer of all that we purvey, but we must be observing ourselves in observing what we are observing. And when we're listening to everybody very deeply and carefully, we must be listening to ourselves and our responses to what we're listening to, and so on. And so really, this is the bread and butter stuff of it all. There's not going to be any change in the world if there's no change in me. There's not going to be any change in the world if there's no change in you. And the change is simply waking up and understanding that the most important thing in your life and in my life is to know who I am, understand who I am, and then the rest will be added on, kind of thing. So time is of the essence, and it doesn't matter how long we are on this plane, it's a very short time indeed. And it's the most precious gift we have, is the gift of time. And so how are we going to use it? Are we using it or abusing it? And do we want to stay asleep forever? And he said, you know, I know that waking up is very, very hard. It's very hard to wake up. None of us want to wake up. And you remember how it is when somebody comes and pokes you and says, get up, and you say, oh, I want another 5 minutes or whatever. And he says, that's how we are in our deep sleep. We don't want to wake up. We'd rather be in the land of Nod, in the sleepy land. Because if we do wake up, we're going to have to face a whole lot of what we have been avoiding. And so, my dear ones, time is of the essence, and we're in a strange, weird, and wonderful week. And as we approach this week, it behooves us now to hang on to our wits, as my mother would say, and not to get all flustered. And we need to stop taking sides and fighting with sides. We need to stop that. There are no sides. We're all here as family. I know families can be the worst place of all to be because they fight like I don't know what. But we're not fighters. That's how we do it bad. That's why we do it badly. That's why fighting never wins. Because it's not our nature to fight. We're not good fighters. All the wars throughout the ages has proven this over and over again. If we were good fighters, there'd be one fight and that would be it and it'd be all over and done with, but we're not. So let's stop trying the fighting method and let's start opening up to the understanding method. Because it's hard to understand ourselves, how can we understand another? Now, at the end of this election, 50% of the country is going to be disappointed. It doesn't matter what way it goes. And we have to understand that, and we have to be very careful with each other. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, there has to be another way. There just has to be another way. Because no side is right, totally right. There are rightness and wrongnesses in both sides of anything. And I'm not just talking about politics, I'm talking about everything. None of us can say fully. We can just be open and receptive to keep knowing who I want to be in this, how I want to be in this. Do I want to be a dissenter? Do I want to be a divider? Do I want to be a separator? Do I want to be the cause of discord? Or am I open and receptive, even though I don't know how to go about it fully, to be just something that at least doesn't rock the boat one way or another? Start there so that I can become an anchor and a stabilizer wherever I am. But it won't happen until I'm that first for myself and in myself and of myself. And that is why we remember our principles. Ernest Holmes said in the Declaration of Principles, which appeared way back when in 1927 in the issue of the Science of Mind magazine, and he was the founder of Science of Mind and Spirit, and he says, you know, we believe in the unity of life. We believe that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. And we believe that each one of us can feel when we are awake enough to feel it. We can feel this essential presence, this integrative presence. We can feel it. And the word was feel. It's not enough to think about it, to know about it, to state facts about it, which may or may not be true. I want an experience of it. You want an experience of it. We want to feel the thing itself. We're not going to feel that when we're fighting with each other, when we're disagreeing with each other all the time, when we're judging each other all the time, when we're telling each other all the time who we must be, what we must do, and how we are supposed to be. It's just not going to happen. I have to take myself in hand. I'm responsible for my own life and what I'm creating in it. I'm responsible for my experiences in life and what they are. And that's job enough. And guess what? When I'm taking care of that, somehow or another, we help others to take care of themselves too. Our job is to take care of ourselves and assist others to do likewise. It's as simple as that. Let's not get too technical about it. Do no harm is our peace cry. Do no harm. We don't have war cries, we have peace cries. Do no harm. And together as one. Remember, together is not enough. We have to be together as one. Together as one in our endeavor, in our search for understanding. It's the most important thing for any of us to come to is understanding, It's the simple bread and butter stuff of spiritual life. Know thyself. The unexamined life is not worth living, Socrates said a long time ago. He should be a parrot right now, keep saying it too, because how many of us are examining our lives? Self-examination, self-observation. Self-observation and examination is not self-absorption. Caught up in myself and my own needs and all the rest of it. Self-examination, self-observation for us all. It's very, very simple. Very simple. We don't want to be mesmerized. We don't want to be hypnotized. We don't want to be, we don't want our mothers or our fathers speaking through us or feeling through us, or our teachers or our whatever, our gang members or our, and I say that with tongue in cheek. I mean, I see lots, when we were kids, we had a gang. We always had gangs as children. My gang and your gang, and our gang was better than your gang. I mean it in that way. Or my club is better than your club, or my religion is better than your religion, or whatever. No, it's not. It just is yours, whatever it is. Because we don't get to put ourselves on a hierarchical structure and say, I'm superior to you, or what I do is superior to what you do, etc. No, because that's not how it is. And we don't want to be like the people in the boat off the coast of Brazil, I believe it was, the story goes. And the energy breaks down and the boat is still and it just drifts, and it drifts away and away off course. And then eventually a boat comes along and they say, oh, please help us, we're dying of thirst and we haven't had water since when? And somebody shouts back, just, drink the water that's around you, it's fresh water, because there's a river that gushes into the ocean so strongly that it goes out several miles. I said, well, and that's where we all are. We're sailing around on a life force that is available to us all of the time, and we think we're drowning, or we think we're dying, or whatever it is. So, my dear ones, whatever it's going to be in your life, you're the one that has to take the reins on it, and you have to take control of it. I wouldn't like to think that after our elections that anyone would fall into depression and so on. And when you say I'm depressed, really don't. Just say, at the moment, I'm feeling a depressing slump or whatever. But don't say you are, because you're not. That's not who or what you are in truth. Now, I'm not saying be unreal and pretend, not at all. You just had to take yourself by the reins and say, listen here, how do you want to live? How do you want to feel? What do you want to think? What do you want your life to be? And then be willing to do what it takes to get there. And it's called wakening out of the dream, rousing yourself up out of the nightmare or whatever it is. And just knowing, oh, thank God that's not real. Thank God that's not real. Now, whatever happens after our elections doesn't have to change you or me one iota. I get to decide that, how I'm going to be and how I'm going to respond and who I'm going to be. And let's choose on the side of life and its availability to us, and its ability through us to do better, to be better, and to create that world that works for everyone. But first and foremostly, take care of yourself, tend to yourself, and create your own personal world that works for you. Get that sorted, and then together we can get the rest sorted out too, because we'll be coming together as integrated beings. We will have understood our essential combination of spirit and humanity blending into this amazing understanding of this oneness, this sameness, this mutuality that is all ours. And we can see each other differently because this is a holographic universe. We're all mirrors. We're looking into ourselves all the time, and ourselves are looking back at us all the time. And we're just like a great big web, and that web has a center point. And all of these golden strings are coming out from the center point, and all these golden circles are circling all into infinity. And they're all the one essence, and on every single one of the circle parts and the strings that are coming out, the lines that are coming out, are these amazing crystalline, beautiful pearl balls of energy that are you and me in every aspect of life and living. And it's all the one thing, just in different ways displaying itself, but integrated totally. That's how it is. We're not as dichotomized as you might imagine. We're not as broken as you might think. We're not as separated as the world would have us believe. Not at all. We're not. We're just not. I know everything is screaming at us saying, oh, open your eyes and look out and see. But we have to see beyond what the fact is to the truth of it. And the truth is that you are, always have been, as I have been, and everybody else has been, the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow in our essential, integrated beingness. And that is the divine life itself. And again and again and again, I keep pointing out that we are this powerful point of light. We're a vortex of this energy through which the infinite is always pouring the totality of itself to be released through us out into infinity. But we have been given the power to open the portal and let it roll. And I think the only thing stopping us is that not enough of us is opening the portal and leaving it open. We open it sometimes, we open it a little at times, and then it closes again. I'm knowing for you and for me that this is possible and we can do it. And so again, I'm going to leave you with those potent words. You are a point of living, intelligent life through which the infinite, in all of its magnificence, all of it, is willing to pour itself through you out into the cosmos and beyond, so that you can be as you were created to be. The affirmer of life, the establisher of peace, the builder of integration amongst us all. So help you and me, the divine creative essence out of which we have all come and are sustained by. And may we know it, may we feel it, so that we no longer have to believe it. This is your truth, this is my truth. You are awesomely powerful, and the ball is in your court. Take the power over yourself and use it wisely and well. And I will endeavor to do likewise. And as a spiritual community, we help each other to do exactly that. So shoulders up, heads back, and march into this week knowing only good is ahead, because you expect it to be so. And what you expect, you will experience. And bless every living thing and every living one in the whole great glorious morass of it all in this life on planet Earth. Embrace it. Be not afraid, for Spirit goes before us always. Remember, you are enough, and more than that, you are essential. And so it is. And so indeed it is. And so now we are going to go into the celebration of our fullness and our plenty. Now you have seen the little videotape that has been put together because now our greatest and big drive is for the getting all of our virtual equipment up to date so we can do much more and give you much more from the virtual world as a result of it. And we have big things coming up. I know that everybody is challenged right now, but we also know who our provider of our good is, and that our source is Spirit. So thank you deeply from the bottom of my heart, the top of my heart, and all of my heart, for all your support in keeping our legacy strong for future generations to come, and for supporting in the moment. You are a great blessing and you make a great difference, and we are so, so very grateful.